New beginnings are exciting, right? See, there's a moment in every leader's life, in every believer's life, where the container you're living in no longer fits the contents of your soul. You look around at what you've built and how you've introduced yourself over the last few years or the last 14 episodes, and it feels tight, like last year's Easter outfit. It feels like a jacket that fit you 3 years ago, but now you've outgrown it. And I have been feeling that tension lately. And what I've realized is that to stay honest with you, and to stay honest with God and myself, I couldn't keep doing things the same way. And see, people often think branding is a cosmetic decision. They think it's a new logo, a new font, or a fresh coat of paint to hide the cracks in the wall. In this case, the name changes because the mission expanded, because the voice has sharpened, the direction is clarified, and the purpose has deepened. I want to welcome you to the Faithformed podcast. I'll just call it Faithformed, formerly known as the Pursuit Podcast. I'm your host, Justin, and today we are launching something new. But it's not really new, it's just the truth of what this has always been about. Welcome to the first episode of Faithformed. Now let's talk about why we are here. If you look at your phone right now, you have access to a million different voices. And we talked about this in the last episode. There is no shortage of content, there is no shortage of hot takes, there is no shortage of 60-second theology that makes you feel good, but really doesn't change or impact how you live your life. You're not here for surface conversations. If you wanted surface, you could scroll. And I love you, but if you do want surface, then you can scroll. There are better podcasts out there for surface. But understand that surface doesn't hold you when the storm comes, even though it feels safe. But I believe that you're here because something in you knows that you were built for more. You're here because your faith deserves depth, not noise. It's so exhausting to constantly be sold hype. And there is an insistent beat of the drum in our culture to be famous, when what God has called us to is to be faithful. And the noise that we tap into plays a big role in which one we tend to push toward. We live in a culture that celebrates the harvest, but it despises the planting. We want the fruit, but we don't want the dirt. But you can't have the depth without the dirt. And so you're here because your calling demands strength, not hype. You are here because culture is loud and you need a space that strengthens your discernment. Speaking of that word, discernment, it is a word that I believe is dying in our generation. And I think it's dying because we don't truly understand it. We think that discernment is only for, oh friend, I know you're doing something or you're lying to me but here's the truth, man. Discernment has as much to do with discerning what's happening in ourselves as it does with what's happening in everyone around us or in everything around us. And see, we have information, but we lack discernment. Information is knowing what to say, but discernment is knowing when to say it, how to say it, and who needs to hear it. Namely, when we ourselves need to hear it. But Faithformed speaks to the real work happening inside of us. It's the work that nobody sees on Instagram because people don't want to see that. It's the work that shapes our integrity, our voice, our discipline, our decisions, influence, our present, and our future. And so this podcast is not entertainment. If you want to be entertained, I can recommend you some shows that I listen to on a regular that are really good for entertainment. But this is not one of them. What this is formation. The podcast is growing into a fuller calling. And so I want to tell you what you can expect as we move forward. So this word, faithformed, it comes from this idea that we are being shaped by what we believe. Romans 12:2 says, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind," which means there is a formation that is happening in us, whether we know it or not. Furthermore, there is a war for your formation. The world is trying to form you into a consumer. Fear is trying to form you into a coward. Anxiety is trying to form you into a prisoner. And if I'm going to be honest with you, and honesty is one of the big pillars of this podcast, especially where we're going, anything that I do, I have been formed by the world, by fear, by anxiety. And I think if you're honest with yourself, you can say that all three of those things and more have formed you as well. But we need to reject all of those things. And see, this podcast is going to dig into the moments that form you. And usually those aren't the moments on the mountaintop, but it's in the quiet moments. It's in the moments when God doesn't answer right away. It's in the seasons where you feel stuck, as I write about in my new book, The Purpose and the Pause. It's in the seasons where you're hidden, where like David in the pasture before he was king, or Moses in the desert before he became a deliverer. It's in the painful moments. Anybody experienced painful moments? I can't be the only one. The loss, the betrayal, the failure, the things that break your heart are often the things that break open your destiny. And so we need those, and we need to know how those form us so that we can know how to better steward them. But it's also in the confusing moments, the moments you cannot explain, but you also cannot ignore. And so you just have all the squigglies and question marks around your head cascading because you're like, God, what is, come on, God, really? And so we're going to talk about faith in real life, not the Sunday morning polished version, but the Tuesday afternoon, I don't know how I'm going to pay this bill version, or the Friday, I want to quit this job version, or the Saturday, man, my kids are getting on my last nerve version. I've been in all of those. Or how about the I'm leading this team, but I feel like an imposter version? Oh, I got another one. Or God's called me to plant a church, and I don't know if I'm going to be a good pastor or not. Or I feel like I'm doing this by myself version. Yeah. See, what we're really trying to lean into here is to build a leadership that requires strength, an influence that demands honesty, and cultural moments that call for clarity. And so we're widening the tent. We want to speak to the people who already lead, but also to the people who know that they're called to lead but don't feel ready yet. And we're also going to speak to the people who are still fighting fear, doubt, and uncertainty about their own leadership. Faithformed is going to push you, center you, steady you, and sharpen you. And we also want to build community to be with you so that in all of those areas, in all of those seasons, we can encourage one another. The heart of Faithformed is your formation. And I want to pause and I want to speak directly to you. And I know this is not recorded, but hopefully you can hear the sincerity of my heart when I say this. If you're listening to this, I'm willing to bet that you feel a tension in your spirit. That is God forming you. The TikToks don't hit the same way. The Instagrams don't hit the same way. The doom scrolling doesn't feel the same. The brain rot, you feel that brain rot. It no longer sits right with you anymore. Some of you are sitting in churches and it doesn't feel right anymore. It feels uncomfortable. And I want to encourage you and tell you not to hide from that discomfort, because that discomfort is not just God getting your attention. It is God shaping you. But see, we shirk it because formation can often feel like destruction. And you may feel scattered or tired, stretched or overwhelmed. You may feel behind the pace of your purpose. How many of you feel behind? Show of hands. Like you should be further along right now? Oh, it's just me? Okay, it's just me. I'll take that. You may feel unseen, underdeveloped, or misunderstood. You may feel like the journey is taking too long. But I want to remind you of something. You're not lost. You're being shaped. And let me also remind you of this. God is not a fan of the microwave, but he loves a good slow cooker. Because formation is not instant. It's not glamorous. It's not loud, and it's not fast. But can we agree on this as we move forward? Formation is necessary. And here's the principle that I need you to write down. I need you to put it on your mirror so that you see it in the morning. Put it in your wallet or your purse. Tape it to your dashboard. Whatever you need to know. Whatever you need to do to see it often, to remind yourself often. It's this. God is building the person before he builds the platform. There have been many times in my life where I thought that I was ready for where I thought God was taking me. And as it turns out, I wasn't. Or there have been times where I've tried to push open doors that God hadn't opened yet. Those moments suck. We can be honest, right? Man, those moments, they suck so bad. Because you want to blame God, but then you look and you see that honestly, there's nobody to blame but you. But here's what I've learned in that, is that if God gives you the platform before he gives you the character, then the platform is inevitably going to crush you. We've seen it happen to too many leaders, and we continue to see it happening to an alarming number of leaders where the character is not able to sustain the weight of the calling, and God does not want that for you. God wants to strengthen your foundation before he opens the door. I'm saying that prophetically to someone. God wants to strengthen the foundation, and God is strengthening the foundation before he opens the door. God is pruning the heart before he expands the reach. Why? Because you and I are in formation, and Faithformed is here to walk with you through it. And so the call of this podcast is to help you become. And I use that word often, but I use it intentionally. Become. Because I want you to understand something. Faithformed is not about perfection. If you're looking for a perfect leader, sorry, it's not Justin in Frisco. I'm sorry. Okay? But Faithformed is about process because I'm in process. Faithformed is about growth because I'm growing. Faithformed is about discipline because I'm learning about discipline. Faithformed is about surrender because I have to surrender every part of my life. It's about the daily decision to say yes to God, even when it doesn't make sense, even when we don't feel like it. It's about clarity. It's about strength. See, you're becoming someone that God can trust with influence. That's the goal. Not to be famous, but to be trusted by heaven. You're becoming someone who has a weight about you because you can bear the weight of what God is calling you to. You are becoming someone who leads with conviction. You're becoming someone who carries faith with maturity, and that's what culture needs. Culture needs faith to influence it so that we don't allow culture to influence faith. And this is the place where that journey becomes intentional. Are you with me? I hope so. I want to thank you for being here, for listening, for growing, for showing up. This isn't easy work, and it won't be. And this new season is not small. This new name is not just some random thing, and this shift is not accidental. God saw it. But we're stepping into a deeper mission together. Faithformed is who we are becoming. It's where we're going, and it's the vehicle for how we will get there. I want to welcome you to this new season. I want to welcome you to new strength, to a new identity, or maybe a clarification of an identity. I want to welcome you to the formation of your faith, your voice, and your influence. And I want to tell you that I understand if you have been rocking with us and you say, oh, I can't rock with you any further. That's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It doesn't matter if my episodes only get 1 or 2 downloads, because what I believe is that this message is going to resonate with the people that God has already called for it to resonate with. And maybe that's you. Maybe it's not you. Even if it's not, God bless you. I wish you nothing but the best. But if that is you, then I want to invite you to form a community of people who uphold one another, who undergird one another as we build ourselves up on our most holy faith. I want to build a community of believers who are growing every day and who are doing all that we can, surrendering all that we can to allow God to do his perfect work in our lives, no matter how ugly it may get, no matter how weak we may feel, no matter how it feels like our lives are being destroyed. We understand. I want to build a community of people who understands what it's like to be formed faithfully. So thank you for listening. Share this episode with someone who is growing through a deep season of formation. I know you're out there. And if you feel so inclined, I'd love for you to leave a rating and a review wherever you catch this podcast. And remember, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be loud. You don't have to have every answer. Just keep pursuing what matters. Don't fake it. Don't force it. Just follow Jesus and keep becoming. Thank you for joining us for Faithformed, formerly the Pursuit Podcast. I'm your host, Justin, your fellow traveler along this pathway to faithful formation. And I'll see you next time. Be blessed.